Hi everyone, this is Roman Zelenka and welcome to my podcast where we explore the wisdom of those around us. Hey guys, my guest today is a doctor of functional medicine, quite famous here in the Czech Republic, and it looks like that fame is spreading abroad as well. After completing standard medical education, he chose to specialize in functional medicine, and these days he runs his own clinic and established the Institute of Functional Medicine here in Prague. His new book, The Art of Healthy Living, is one of my favorites, and it summarizes all aspects of this exciting discipline so that anyone can understand it. So Jan, thanks for joining me today.
Thank you Roman, and thank you for the challenge you brought me because it's my first podcast in English.
Great, so to get started, give us a quick overview of what you actually do. Maybe tell us a bit more about functional medicine and how it's different from conventional medicine.
I would like to bring a quick insight to my life journey because I started as a classical conventional medical doctor, but I felt that it's not completed education which bring the whole perspective to how to really help to my patient. So during this journey, I found out that I must bring some new insights to my practice. And I found out that there is one system which evolved from classical Western medicine and look at the patient like a whole and bring this complexive view and solve the problem from inside, from the really deep cause and underlying causes of chronic problems.
So you say it's about holistic approach, and do you have some special relationship with your patient? Is it different from conventional medicine?
The real difference is that we have really time to spend with patient, because if I want to really help, I need to know really deeply what is going about in life of my patient. I call it context of the problem. We are not asking only what is going on, what's the problem, what's the symptoms, but we really try to find a way why is really happening, why this individual patient has his chronic disease.
Could you maybe give us some specific examples from your practice?
It started with a really deep anamnesis, history of the life span of my patient, which included really deep insight to lifestyle habits, because it's the one of the area which is most important on the way how to solve the chronic problem. Second area is insight to psycho-emotional status and patterns of my patient, which is connected with its sociome, which I call it, which is the web of relationship of the patients, which I found out that is one of the most important part for our health. Mm-hmm. And the third area is the environment which we live in. Mm-hmm. So we started with really great amount of time of checking this life story and habits of my clients, and together with some specific measurements of biomarkers and physiological patterns inside of the body. Because if we really want to know what's going on, we must have this complex view of physiological patterns, because our body is working as one system, and we must have this systematic view on our system as doctors if we want to really solve the chronic problems. Because there is a big difference between solving the acute problems and the chronic problems. And functional medicine really try to deal with the epidemic of the chronic diseases as we're facing this as a society.
So you mentioned something very interesting. You mentioned that we are experiencing an epidemic of chronic diseases. At the same time, we have the situation about COVID-19. Do you think there is something in common between those two types of epidemics?
It looks that there isn't, because one of the status of epidemic is more acute, which is the COVID-19, and the second one is the chronic problem, chronic diseases. But there is one common factor, and it's resilience of the organism of individual concrete person.
And that's my favorite topic, resilience. I love resilience.
Yeah,
so what's the problem with our resilience?
Because these areas of lifestyle, psychological problems and issues, and environment is really deeply connected with our immune system, hormonal system, and resilience. So if we start the way of how to increase the health of our society, we are not facing these epidemic problems in the future. But nowadays, I can understand its problem. In Czech Republic, there is 1 million people with diabetes, which is the disease which really is not necessary to exist in this society. It's just because our approach to lifestyle, to how we grow our food, how we connect with our soil, which we're destroying by herbicides, pesticides, and other chemicals.
It's funny you mentioned that, because that reminds me my story. I went through really serious health issues, and my level of resilience was very low about 8 years ago.
Your issues is like typical issues which my clients brought to my clinic, because it's a everything from something. It's called like functional problems, because usually it's a digestive or stomach problems, some kind of autoimmune diseases, some kind of allergies, some kind of metabolic problems, which I said that is the greatest problem with the COVID-19, because it's a high risk for the severe problem with the coronavirus. It's a metabolic immune status of the person, which is the highest risk. So this is really the common issue, and conventional doctor try to help the people by suppressing the symptoms and signals. The word signal is very important, because it's a signal of something, and it's a signal of inner disharmony of the physiological processes, but not only of the physiological processes, of the processes of our inner patterns of our mind. During my practice, I really found out that people really don't know about their inner world, I can say like that. We just facing the manifestation of something what is really going inside. And because here in Czech Republic and around the world, there is no school of self-awareness. We are not really emotional intelligent. We are really don't know how to follow healthy habits. And it should start it during the childhood, at school, and this is what I really found out as a problem. Because you were active as a sportsman, I suppose. You were active as a manager, and you was trying to do your best, and some problems appear, and you really didn't know why. And conventional medicine are not able to bring the answer. But I think, and you can tell me, that you found out the answers.
This is why we have this interview, right? Quite often I'm having a similar consultation, but in different area with leaders and company owners, and they are dealing with many stress factors. So let's begin with this area. And I have a question. How do you think that stress factors are influencing our health? And can you maybe give us some hints?
It's good to say something about the stress. Stress is like a fuel, you know, it's like pushing us to evolve, but it must have exact limit to be constructive stress and not destructive. And this is the greatest problem, because if we can check what is going on nowadays in our lives, it's a 1,000 small thing which connected and bring the stress on the greatest level maybe in last century. Because in last century we had a problem with the acute status. So we sometimes die from the acute inflammation or injuries. So it was a really strong stress during the accident or some inflammation. But if we are like evolve as a society and on level of technological approach to our lives, the stress is very hidden in our lives. And it's hidden in every like a kind of food, every kind of chemicals in our homes, in every emotion which are not able to deal with because we are not emotional intelligence enough, in every relationship because we are not able to have proper and really deep relation with other people in our society, because communities are lost. So we need really as a society to like check these stressors in these areas as we mentioned, like a diet, like our sleep, like our movement during the day on level of our musculoskeletal system, on our environment and in our relationships. And I cannot say that we can now say some like universal approach, because you and me are different. We have different genetic makeup. We have different
makeup.
different makeup. We have different mind patterns. We have different habits. We have different immunological and hormonal status. So this is why people must start the very individual way to self-awareness, to mindful way in their lives, because this is the way how to find the inner health, the art of healthy living.
I am with you. I agree 100%.
From my perspective, the greatest stress is going on in our minds, because we are creating stress and we are not really aware of it and why we doing it to ourselves, because a lot of our inner mind patterns are self-destructive.
I see. So you mean that we create the stress from our emotional level, right?
It's our inner emotional algorithms which we like evolved during our childhood, because when we are a child we are like a hard disk which can download it, the programs from relationship with our parents. And this is, from my point of view, it's a really big problem, because during that time we are growing. We downloaded a lot of self-destructive patterns.
Like I'm not good enough. And
Exactly. This is the one of the greatest. We are not good enough. We are inner feeling that we are not good enough, and we are during the life we try really hard to be enough, but it's not possible to bring it from outside.
Yeah.
And people pushing and pushing, and I think you can really.
That's
the
also
case.
my case. Yeah.
This is your case.
Yeah.
So, and we pushing that much that we really killing ourselves and destroying our organism. And from the physiological perspective, we as doctors really know exactly what is going on, because if we really like pushing too much to ourselves, we there is an overreaction of our autonomic nervous system, which pushing to our hormones, and this neuroendocrinological system really affecting our immune system. And we were talking about resilience, and resilience is really about our neuroendocrinologic system and our immune system.
I see.
Because all chronic diseases are causing by disrupting of this system of our hormones, nervous system and immune system. And this is one of the reasons why we're facing this greatest problem with coronavirus.
That makes sense.
And I would like to add that the way out of it is reducing some stressors. It's not possible to reducing to zero level, but we can like eat healthy food with low level of chemicals, which is biodynamic food. We can do something with our musculoskeletal system, so there is no reason to have low back pain or some muscle disbalances. We can change it in our homes with a change to chemical products for non-chemical products. So we can reduce the amount of stress from outside of our environment, and we can reduce our inner stress by really get to know ourselves more and try to get to know why we pushing ourselves too much. So become from I am not enough to I am enough. And I can see this in management and top managers, and how they really try very hard to be the best to the level of self-destroying their inner physiological systems, to very often burnout syndrome, and they are really not aware why they doing this.
Yeah, and I have to admit I was the same. And even I changed my diet, I changed my exercise, sleeping habits, like everything in my life. Still I didn't change anything inside on my emotional level.
Yeah.
And only after, and that was the key, that was the solution. So this is why I agree with you 100%. We have to change from the inside and realize that we are enough already.
I can often say that we must change ourselves from victim of our inner patterns to creator of our healthy lives. And I would suggest people that they can start it with lifestyle changes, because it brings more energy to their system. If you sleep better, if you sleep enough amount of time, it brings energy, and this new biorhythm can really help your physiology. If you reduce the stress from food, because of the chemicals and processed food, and you change it for good quality food, you bring some good information to your gut microbiome, and it definitely helps to your resilience and to your immune system. If you solve the problem of your body, like low back pain or something else, it definitely reduces the stress. But it reaches some point which can do some good work, but sometimes cannot bring the really healthy life. And it's really because people must go inside, how you said, because it's like iceberg. If you see the iceberg, you see just the top, but the greatest part is under the water. And this greatest part under the water is the most important part, and is the underlying causes which is very often lying in our mind. This is body-mind approach, and if we really wanted to make it complex, we can say body, mind and soul approach, because the spiritual part is the same important as the mind approach.
And this is why I think it's so fascinating, and this is why we have this interview, because there are so many people ill, and they have these chronic issues. What would you recommend to them? Like, what should be their first step if they want to work on themselves?
The first step is really deep decision to start live healthy life, because it sounds like it should be normal, it should be standard. But why there is a epidemic of chronic diseases? Because people are really not deeply decide to be healthy. Because if they do this decision, it's open the new way how to bring like life and joy to their life, healthy life and joy to their life. If there is no joy in life of people, there is pain. So people must find, and it's like a compass. It navigates you even the way to illness or to healthy life. And the compass is our pain and joy. People usually are not aware what brings passion to their life, what brings the joy to their life, what brings the love to their lives. And this is the way where they should start. They should like make some review, some insight of context of their life. And this is how they start. They can check their lifestyle, they can check how they sleep, how they eat, how they move, how they drink. They can check the environment, where they live. And then after this, they should go inside and say, okay, feeling that my life has some purpose, feeling that I am really good enough for myself. And if they want to do it, they can just look around and check their relationships, because relationships are just the mirror of relationship with yourself.
Yeah, that's it. Jan, do you think it's important to have some purpose in life?
I think it's one of the most important parts of our life, because we really need this inner fulfillment. We really try to reach it every way, our like intention in our life is going this way, but we are focusing on like bad or different way how to fill ourselves, mostly in some materialistic approach, like money and stuff.
I need a new car, a new house, and bigger, yeah.
And from my point of view, it's very, very easy, because this fulfillment bringing joy and love in our life, mostly joy with our siblings and close people, and love to ourselves and love to others. And this is really, it sounds common, but I can say that from my practice, a lot of people nowadays missing this part of life.
I'm really curious about, because you mentioned that we can cure many chronic diseases, and I hear some people and they say, I have this disease because my father had it and I inherited it from him. What do you think about genetics?
Genetics, it's a very important predisposition for something. It's like framework, it's like a blueprint, but there is a new approach and new science which is called epigenetic. And epigenetic says that something affecting our genes and turning on and off, because we are not using every gene in our body. We're using just 5% of our genes, and this 5% is changing during our life. And the chronic diseases is because there is turning on the genes for disease. For example, the genes we inherited really from our father, and we, because of the same patterns we using as our fathers did, we turn on the same genes for diabetes, for autoimmune disease, for oncology. But if we become the creator of our life, we can really prevent the turning on the genes for diseases. Because not only from my perspective, 95% of chronic diseases are preventable. So we can really prevent, and this is really my focus on prevention, because most effective way how to cure disease is prevented disease. Nowadays people are really not aware about prevention, and conventional medical system are really not effective in prevention medicine. So my really passion is prevention and preventive medicine.
Mm-hmm. And what do you think can happen if we just ignore it? If we don't focus on prevention and we just continue living the way we live?
We can just look around. 1 million diabetic people in Czech Republic. 25,000 people die every year for diabetes. Every day die 70 people for cancer. Every day die 100 people for cardiovascular disease. We can see it everywhere. And from my perspective, it's not necessary to be this way. And we cannot now find it, the solution in conventional medicine. Conventional medicine is great for acute processes and acute problems and issues. In chronic diseases, it's good to reduce for some time the symptoms, which can be dangerous. But the second side of the same coin is to ask why I have this chronic problem and start to find the answers. And this is what we do on daily basis in our clinic. And I really think that every individual has ability to cure themselves. Our body can cure really every moment, but it has some limitation, of course. Not everyone can cure from chronic diseases.
I believe you, because I tried and it works. So before we wrap up, maybe could you explain us, long story short, what's the magic of healthy living?
It's unfortunately not a magic which can fall down from the heaven. It's really the way we can start. The goal is really the journey, as we can say. So it's a journey for self-awareness, of get to know really myself, to get to know my habits, to get to know my deep relationship with myself, to get to know my stressors. And this is the journey for really healthy living. And nobody can do it, just me.
Yeah, I see. And thanks for sharing. It was very inspirational today. And even I pick up some new tips that I want to implement in my life, and how to think about my life, how to think about me and my family. And next time, I'm pretty sure, and we must do that, we need to go deeper and we need to focus on specific areas. And so if any of you have questions for me or Jan, let us know in comments. And if you don't want to miss other interviews, just hit that subscribe button, and I will see you next time. Thank you, Jan.